So this is not basically an academic type of presentation. This is actually to address certain issues that is not exclusively there in quantum education, but it is also there in quantum education, especially a place like India or the place where I am from. People uh, focus on uh, relying on more on smartphones rather than computers or PCs. And as we know, the problem is that quantum computing or the programs that we use or the platform that we use is not very much smartphone friendly. And especially when we look into high school students or school students, basically, they mostly does not have access to computers. So main my fundamental aim is to represent the problem and put forward some of the ideas that was in my mind, and that some of the brainstormed idea that happened on Qiskit Hackathon Europe. Actually, a part of this project was also presented in the pitch for Qiskit Hackathon Europe. So some of my friends who were from Q Enthusiast Kerala, which was a small online platform uh, that we that I formed, and some of my friends, they also put forward some problems that faced in the area of quantum education. Especially, I will be focusing on digital divide. So as we know, quantum computing is a new field that is becoming more and more popular. As we know, there is a lot of research happening on this area, both industrial and academic research. And also, as we know, a lot of investments, all startups, and all those are happening in this area. So there are a lot of people, students, especially the undergraduate and high school students who have no prior exposure to quantum computing. So there are a lot of opportunities that happened during the pandemic era, but not everyone was able to make use of it properly because of the issue, especially due to the uh, technological inaccessibility. So so one of the case that we know is that I had some of my friends who participated in the coding school qubit by qubit course, and some of them, it was very difficult to do the implementation part or the lab part, because they do not have access to any computers, basically. And especially as it as some of the I also teach students, I do physics tutoring for school students, and some of the students does not have any PC or computers. So for basically them, even if they're excited about learning quantum computing, the part where they do the hands-on work and all those stuff, it is very difficult to do that. So even in the qubit by qubit course, I even have some of my friends who did their work only on smartphones, and it was very difficult for them. So as as I have said on my abstract before, almost with this uh, after pandemic, almost all the students are having smartphones, but with respect to quantum computing, there is some compatibility issues. So that's where the digital divide issue is there. So this I the first 2 points I have already told, and access to computers is very important in quantum education. And the last point is very important. As students are not going to school or colleges, it is very difficult for them to access computers, because that was the one place they had free access to computers, and with this situation it have become very difficult. And what can we do? And as the universal quantum education platform have a lot of students, educators, scientists, developers, and quantum enthusiasts, industrial people from industries. So like, what are the some of the possible solution, or like As we know, like most of the people who are attending this webinar now are very privileged to have at least a PC where they can access the programs. That is a very good thing. So as we have certain privileges, what we can do, like that is what I have to tell. So one thing that we can do is that those who have even no access to smartphones, we can do the printed learning resource. We can make some worksheets or some printed learning materials that can be given by the volunteers or quantum educators. That can be done. Those who have even they do not even have access to even smartphones, so that can be done. And second thing is that uh, the like making more like whatever platform that we use. For example, we have the IBM Quantum Experience, like the Quantum Labs and Qiskit and all those. And there are other languages like QSharp, Circ, and all those. So most of them are not at all friendly with smartphone interfaces. So like at least for a small extent, I'll tell that in my next slide. Anyway, IBM Quantum Labs are relatively now the interface is better for smartphones. So how can we make it better? Some of the things that I have seen or I studied on to I studied on how to bridge the gap or become more inclusive, what we can do. So I found some interesting things that I would like to share in my next slide. Anyway, I'll tell that. Then making quantum computing learning is more smartphone friendly. Also, the resources are not very helpful. For example, let me tell, the Jupyter notebook that we use is not in the low end smartphone. It's very difficult to run. Even you can try it, that those Python IDEs or those platform where you can run Python code or other code like other languages. The running takes a lot of time. Many times I have tried myself. It usually the phone crashes. So it may not happen to high-end smartphones, but it is happening. And then the local quantum communities, like as we are living in a pandemic era, there is some practical issues in that, but still uh, digital divide will be always there in our society, even if there is pandemic or not. So what I want to say is that there should be event or volunteers organizing like programs in their locality. And then there is mentorship program that can be done both offline and online, where at least those quantum educators that we are hearing, at least they're kind of taking one students one at least one student, and like helping them in quantum computing. Even that would do good, as the platform like quantum universal education is a very large platform, and at least you can take care of one student who is not able to who is interested in quantum computing and who want to do better in quantum computing. So that can be done. Mentorship program, as we know, in the previous presentation there was something about QoSF. So that is one very good program that I have come across. They organize challenges and all those, which some of my friends even try. So that is a very good thing. We need more platforms and more initiatives like that to make things better. And one more thing I want to tell, which is not directly to digital divide, but in the academia there is a small problem that we come across. Usually what happens is that most of the uh, uh, quantum hackathons or all those stuff happening in the quantum world will require coding. So there may be people from the theoretical domain or who want to proceed on the theoretical or experimental domain. I believe that even those kind of areas also should be very much given should be given priority, as there are other software or coding related stuff. So in this program I want to focus on that. When programs are being conducted, those kind of stuff also should be given emphasis, as it is happening in the as similar to those hackathons which is happening. So and the last thing that I have said, some of the smartphone friendly stuff that I have came across. The first one, the IBM Quantum Labs, I tried on my mobile phone, and this is the image of the interface. I have tried it. It is the smaller quantum circuits can be run with the help of this desktop mode in mobile phones, but it is difficult because when we try to drag and drop all those stuff, it is very difficult. So what I'm telling, like few months ago, it was more difficult, but now the interface is become more better when we are viewing it in portrait mode. So what I'm telling is that we can develop Android applications or more smartphone friendly interfaces. So that is one of the things that we can do. And the second one is that one of the interesting thing that I came across in the Q Sharp Discord channel. It is a bot where we can use the code and run it. And so what happens is that the bot goes to the bot run it, and we will get the output of the quantum circuit. So this is something mobile friendly that we can do. There can be bots for Cirq or Qiskit or any other quantum computing platform where we can just send the code, and it will execute and return back the results. So that can be very mobile friendly. So what I am telling is that as the philosophy that I have seen across the people from platform like this is that people like to be part of open source community. So so I am basically not from a quantum computing background, but I'm not basically from coding background, so I do not know very much about app development and all those. But what I want to tell is that make these platforms and applications more mobile friendly, so that people who are interested in these platforms, who are really motivated, it would be better exposure. So some of the reference that I have used. So I want to thank especially people from my team members from Qiskit Hackathon Europe and Q Enthusiast Kerala, and two Qiskit advocates, Abhigyan and Kiran. So I want to thank them as they have helped me on this topic. Thank you. So that would be my presentation.
Thanks a lot, Azmal. That was an incredible talk. Let's see if there are any questions. I see a bunch of comments in the chat. Maybe you can take a look at them. And there's obviously some feedback about approaches to taking a look at how to solve these problems. Before we move on, I'd just like to ask if there are any questions specifically for our speaker right now. All right. Yeah, so maybe I can just take a look at the comments and read them for you. So one comment says that you can code with Swift on iPhones using the Playground app. They don't know about iPhone. They don't know about Python though. So maybe that's something to look at. And another comment says that it would be wonderful if someone can write an efficient extension to Pi, the Python learning app for Qiskit. I agree that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, excuse me, let me add something again. iPhone is expensive in countries like India, that is an issue. Again, those high-end phones or tablets, it's possible to run stuff, but the problem is that when we come to the lower budget smartphones, it is an issue.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, Android is a lot more affordable, and that's also something to consider. So there's one question: how does IBM Quantum Lab work on the smartphone? So I'm guessing that question is based on like performance, based on your experience. So if you could just briefly sum it up, like how was your experience with like using the?
So once we go to quantum computing, quantum/computing IBM.com, we can go log in on that. So there is a prompt that says that it works better on PC or desktop. But when we switch to a desktop, there is something called as we can request for a desktop site in that particular smartphone. In Chrome, it is there. When you click that three dots, which is on the right end of the screen, you can see that request for a desktop site. So in that mode, actually, we can see how does it looks on a desktop interface. And in that mode, you can actually drag and drop stuffs and run actually. And there is something called as collab.research.google.com, which is for actually Python. It is by Google. And in that platform also, it is not very comfortable in mobile phone, but if they are very motivated in doing stuffs in Python or stuff, Python or it is exclusively for Python, so they can look into that. But it is very difficult in mobile phone. I have tried all those.